Where's all the deals? Where's all the deals? Where's all the deals?
So here it is, very simple, X via Y axes, extroverted, introverted characteristics, time versus having money available. So
You've got working with other deal sources, friends or family. Now, you might be thinking, well, Dwayne, what do you do? Now, what I've focused on where's all the deals? Where's all the deals? Where's all the deals? Yeah, that's a common question that, especially during this period of time, there's less supply on the market, there's more demand. It's where are those good property deals? Now, my take on it, there's deals everywhere, but you have to work hard for it. You have to look for it. You have to be diligent for it. So I'm going to share a few tips, a few things on my approach on finding good deals and just how to be thinking about it. So I'll be sharing them with you whilst I do my 2-day journey up to the northeast, where I've got several things to do. 2 of those really important things is to finish some strategy session with my business partner, and 2 is that we're recruiting another member of staff. But during the 2 days, I'll share some tips. I'll share how we find deals. I'll share the approach, and hopefully then you can take that and potentially use it to find 1, 2 or many good deals. But first of all, the first thing to remember is every business owner, and yes, property is a business, even if you just own one property or you own many, it's to be seen as a business. And yes, business is about people. Yes, business is about giving a great service. But if you can't bring sales, if you don't get things over the line, how are you going to have a good business? So finding good deals is a similar approach to how you should be going about with any type of business, i.e. finding good leads and then being able to convert them into a sale. So yes, I do believe every business owner, property investor should become a marketer. They should become good at people and be very good at marketing. It's the life, soul and blood of every single business. But that's only if you've got the tenacity, the time and willingness. You don't have to, but if you do go down the route, there's a little model that I deploy and how you should go about marketing based upon your personal character. You know, there's hundreds, thousands of different marketing techniques, and I believe not every technique best suits someone's personality or trait or their resource and time available. So I'll show you the diagram and how it can be deployed. So here it is, very simple, X via Y axes, extroverted, introverted characteristics, time versus having money available. So how does that play in? So if you're more extroverted and you've got time, working with speaking to a lot of agents or a lot of contacts and building a really good network is going to be the route to go down. So for example, networking will be good. So, you know, if you're working with like estate agents, property sources, you know, friends and family, etc. So that will kind of sit there. But if you're introverted but you do have time, maybe look to finding a list or driving around like your local area or the area you like, finding properties that meet that character. Maybe it needs a bit of work doing. You can see externally there's some repairs needing. Maybe there's multitude of things that need to be done, but you can see it externally. So when we're going to introverted, we then would be looking at someone that they reflect more, they work more on smaller one-to-one groups, and that's where working to that trait. If you've got time, find a list or build a list by maybe driving around the local area, finding properties that you can see externally need some work. Maybe it's got a broken window or you can see tiles falling off or the garden's overgrown, etc. Just sign that it's in disrepair, it needs work, it's not being looked after, it needs some TLC. So you've got drive around, build that list. You will then use that to send letters or leaflet or postcard.
That means you're working to your strength, which is writing, speaking, which is working more to that characteristic. And then if you've got more money in hand, what can you do? If you're more extroverted, you can work with sources. Because if you've got money but you haven't got time, there's a trade-off. So you can pay for sourcing fees. But if you're more introverted but you have money, well, you can go after, for example, creating a website and doing Facebook ads or Google ads. These are just examples. There's a multitude of different ways. So you can see how the model works by combining time versus money and being extroverted versus more introverted. It's something that works well. And so with people that I've shared this with before, this is something I always ask them to complete. Where do they sit with an introverted and extroverted, and what capital or time do they have available? If you're not too sure, all you need to do is a quick test called 16 personalities. It's a Myers-Briggs test. And you just type in 16 personalities into Google, and it will be around 10 to 12 minute test, and it will give you a really detailed report which shares whether you're extroverted or introverted, as well as many other characteristics. But check it out if you think that's interesting. But this is the model that we deploy, and this is how I think about our marketing, including myself, as well as the team and anyone that's asked me before. Let's see. So just finished off another one of those strategic sessions we've had. We're making some real good progress on a new offer that we're about to be launching for our investors who are selling their properties. Now, continuing with the subject of generating deals. So it's all about being consistent. Consistency is very key. So consistently following up with the new contact. So let's say, for example, you start off with saying the way that you want to generate leads or deals is through estate agents. Don't just use Rightmove consistently. Try and get into their core circle of buyers or investors. And how do you do that? It's by building a relationship, working to that trait that we've identified based upon that matrix, which is being more extroverted, going in, speaking to them, seeing how they're doing, maybe bring a gift or two, following up. You want to build trust. If you're an agent, if you put yourself in the shoes of agents, every day there's a new buyer saying, I want to buy a property, I want to buy a property. Give me your properties before they get to market. But you would only give it to them if they've built enough trust with you in order for you to then say, you know what, I can trust that individual, that if I give them a property before I list it, before it goes on the market, that they're going to complete. So build that trust. Or if you're going to use a different type of marketing technique, let's say Facebook ads, watch the videos that I've posted before about that. It's all about starting small, practicing, knowing it, and then being consistent, checking on it, making tweaks, refining it. And trust me, whatever marketing method you use, you'll see results if you're just consistent. So it's the next morning of the second day of the trip up in North, and today I'll be focusing on interviews for a new role that we've got. I'll be using the government's Kickstart program, which I really think is going to be beneficial for those that are looking for work, for those that are looking to be trained, and it helps other businesses. So if you haven't heard of it, check it out. It might be good for your business. Just following on from the conversation around marketing, choose one or two things to focus on. Don't just go hell-bent on trying to do everything, because there's loads of things out there. You know, there's direct marketing, there's mail, there's letters, there's postcards, there's putting leaflets in shops, there's everything that you can think of. However, what you want to be focusing on is one or two things and go deep into it. Don't just go wide, go really deep. Spend 20 to 50 hours learning, go on YouTube courses, go on Udemy, just learn as much as you can. And you'll be surprised. Look, not many people will take that time. Maybe 90-95% of people won't take that time. Watch the video I recorded a few weeks ago. I'll put a link in the YouTube description, or there'll be a pop-up that comes up above, which is all about going deep and before you scale. And that's how you want to apply it with your marketing. Go really deep, understand it, practice it, and you'll see some really good results. So that's another thing to be aware of.
So just finished interviews. I'm quite knackered, but I thought let me just continue, which was to think about the fact that there's always changes in the marketing that you do. So if you're going to do this yourself and you're going to go direct in vendor, or even if you're just going to use agents or sources, it always changes. So even as recent as a few months ago, there was an iOS 14 update for Facebook advertising. So that's had an impact on how we market and retarget. But with all changes, there's always an opportunity, because it's going to take some people out that just weren't as motivated or weren't as interested in the marketing, because they think, oh, another thing to get my head around. And that's going to be an opportunity for you. If you look at GDPR rules and how it relates to marketing, it had an impact on direct mail. And there's always going to be continual changes. But if your message is strong, if your marketing plan is strong, it doesn't matter what changes there are, you'll adapt. And especially if you've gone deep and you know it inside out, a change would just be like a drop in the ocean. It will mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. So by focusing and going deep, as I mentioned just before, do that and you'll notice that any change that happen, it doesn't matter. But keep on top of it and never let that disappoint you or take you off from being consistent in what you do. So I thought it would be easier for me to explain different ways to market directly, so you can see actually there's an abundance of opportunities. There's probably 100 to 200 different ways to market directly or through others. So I've just jotted a few down that you could get started straight away. You know, postcards, you could do cold calling, you could talk to contractors, like it could be like a handyman that you use or a local electrician, and you just ask them, do you know anyone that's selling? Or, you know, can you make a note that if you ever go to a property and that person's ever considered selling, just to pass on my details. That's an example. You've got previous clients, so if you've actually bought a property before from someone, maybe just follow up with them and check, see if they're looking to sell again, or again, if they know someone that's looking to sell. You've got car vinyls or magnets, you've got working with other deal sources, friends or family. Now, you might be thinking, well, Dwayne, what do you do? Now, what I've focused on is just getting our deals from SEO, Facebook ads, sources, and agents. That's really the 4 key areas that we find our deals. Through agents that we've worked with before, and I know estate agents aren't my first choice, but actually through properties that we've sold and just through networking and relationships, we've built up a really good network of estate agents. Got other sources that bring us deals. They know we've been in the market since 2012, so they know we're a credible source, that we've got a good buying history, as well as our investors do. So they typically provide us properties as well. We've got Facebook ads that have been running for the last 12 to 18 months. Still experimenting, but getting some really good results there actually. And search engine optimization, which I've been doing for years as well. And one of the key things is just in the follow-up. Keep following up. Even though someone may not have a property or a deal today, you never know. Tomorrow they might do. Someone might speak to them straight after the last time you spoke. So if you follow up straight away, or if you consistently are following up, guess what? They're going to remember you as well. That's what I do. That's what I focus on. And as I've said in previous videos and on this one, don't just go gun-ho on everything. You know, don't just try all of these. You're going to be spreading yourself too fine. Focus just on one. So for example, if you haven't got enough time, maybe just do letters. With letters, guess what you can do? You can keep sending them to the HMO list. Or if you want to focus on your local area, or if you've just got a specific location, why not just keep driving around that area, looking at properties that look like they've got signs of dilapidation, signs of work, or maybe it's empty. Guess what? Those are properties that are going to be good opportunities. If they're empty, the owner's paying council tax. There's a potential of security breach. There's potential that it's going to have squatters going in. It's got a potential for so many risks. So actually, that vendor would be potentially motivated. And just to remember, always try 1 or 2 different methods. Experiment with it, test it, and keep refining it. And once you've then got that down, then expand. Because the beauty of having a diverse way of marketing, because by having a diverse method of generating good deals, in one season you're going to get some really good deals from that source, and the other may actually be very low or have no sources of deals coming through. But because you've got a diverse way of marketing, a diverse way of finding deals, over the long run, you're consistently going to get good opportunities on a month-to-month basis. So having a variety of ways of marketing and finding those deals are going to come really handy. And last piece of advice is, remember, things change, and also that means your skill set should change. What worked 10 or 15 years ago isn't going to work today. So if you look back to 2008, property market crash, what happened? Prices kept on going down. The greatest opportunities there in a number of areas were lease options. Property prices were lower than the mortgage. The best way to make sure it was a great deal was actually try and work a lease option solution for both you as well as the vendor. But fast forward the last 2 or 3 years, and even now, working on properties that you can either convert into HMOs or exist in HMOs are good solid opportunities for yield as well as equity play. And as we look closer to recently, and as we can potentially see in the future, there's going to be increased inflationary pressures. We've got many various different factors: supply chain, loose fiscal policy, monetary policy, all contributing towards the increase in prices. And a knock-on effect is we're going to see a consequence of increased interest rates. It might be a few percent, it might be a few quartiles of percentage, but we're going to see that. So what could be the potential plays? Buy and hold. Find a good property in a good area. May not be discounted because there's a lot of interest from buyers, retail and investors. So it might just be a good solid price and a good solid area, which would mean a good rental potential, then acting as a hedge against any interest rates as well as inflation.